Leyna Tran is one of the most talented, hardworking young women that I've ever met. She started working in her family's business when she was only 9 years old. She started as a receptionist. She's been a dental assistant, a dental hygienist. She started her own business in the dental industry just a few years ago. But when she made the transition into direct sales, 4 months in, she made $32,000 in a single month. So since she did so well, now Leyna Tran is hiring and teaching and training other representatives who want to make the jump from a 9 to 5 into a direct sales position. So let's hear from Leyna and see what she has to say on the show today. So Leyna, we're super excited to have you on the podcast with us this week. For people who don't know you, let's get started and just give them a little background on where you came from and how you got started. So first off, where'd you grow up? Where were you born?
I was born in Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay, Fort Worth, Texas. And what was your family like?
I have a really big family. We're all really close-knit group. My mom and my whole family escaped the Vietnam War and moved to the United States. So imagine not knowing any English, don't have a job, but you have a whole family. My grandma had like 9 kids and each of them had 4 kids. So there's like 36 cousins, and just imagine just starting from the ground and not knowing anything.
Wow.
So that's where I got my hustle mentality from. They really just made a whole life
Built
for
a whole
them.
new life. Yeah, that's crazy. So so this was during the Vietnam War that your mom came to America at that point. Wow, that's incredible. And so this was your mom, and had she met your dad yet?
No, they met in the United States.
Okay, so they met here. That's awesome. And so you have your mom, your dad, and how many siblings do you have?
3 sisters and 2 brothers.
3 sisters, 2 brothers. So there's 6 in your family. And then you said you have a lot of cousins, right? Like how many cousins, how many trans are out there from your group?
I would say at least 36, and then they multiplied and had more kids, so I would say at least 45.
Wow. That's a pretty big family. Okay. So growing up, you grew up in Texas, right? In Fort Worth, Texas area. And what'd you do growing up? Did you play any sports? Were you into music?
I was kind of an awkward kid, didn't really talk as much. I was really into theater and band.
So a little bit of a band geek.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for your honesty. We appreciate it. What instrument did you play?
The violin.
Played violin. Nice. Okay. So you grew up, you played violin. You're kind of a little bit of a theater person. Were any specific theater productions that we might have seen you in?
So it was a high school theater production. It was The Crucible. If anybody has ever read up on The Crucible in high school, it was pretty terrible.
At what point did you have your first work experience?
When I was at least 9 or 10. So the first business my family ever owned together was a gas station.
Okay.
So my first job was ringing up at the cashier.
If I wanted $20 on pump number 4, I would come up and talk to 9-year-old Leyna Tran at the gas station.
Exactly.
Nice.
That was me.
Okay. And so then you worked at the gas station for a little bit. What was your next job after that?
Then we opened a smoothie shop, like a boba tea shop. That was one of the first boba tea shops in Texas. Now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So it was just me and my cousins making smoothies, boba tea for clients.
Whoever. Yeah.
Customers.
Okay. And how old were you at that point?
I was probably 11.
Second job at 11 years old. Wow. Okay. And what's next after that?
I worked in retail. I worked at Forever 21 and Abercrombie and Fitch.
Nice.
In high school. So that was me.
So you were hot shit at that point. You were 15 years old. You were a sales associate at Forever 21 in high school. That's if you think back to high school, that's pretty solid social status if you work at Forever 21 in high school. And it sounds like that was the first job that wasn't working in one of your family's family businesses. Is that most of what your parents and their siblings did, was mostly starting businesses?
Pretty much my whole family has their own business.
Okay. So what are some of the other ones? I know there was the gas station, there was the smoothie shop. What are some of the other businesses that your family owns?
My aunt owns a telecommunication business. Another business was a dental business that me and my whole family worked in.
Nice. I know that like a lot of your family is involved in dental, but like, where do you think that comes from? Because so much of the population, almost everybody, has like a traditional job where they work for somebody else. But why do you think in your family it's so normal for people to start their own business of some kind?
I mean, that's just how their mentality was when they moved to the United States. Because my uncle graduated dental school, and then we just all sat down as a family and was just like, well, let's just really learn this business and figure it out. We were like, okay, so you're gonna go to dental school, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. But we had no training. So we all started off at one location. They opened that up, and it was just from the front, the back, the hygienists, the doctors, they were all my aunts, uncles, and cousins. I didn't really know anything about dental right out of high school. I was like 19, and my uncle was like, well, you're never gonna learn unless you just do it.
Yeah.
Most people would go to proper training, but my uncle was like, you'll learn better hands-on. So I remember my first patient that I worked on with him, and I was sweating. He was like, don't worry, I'll walk you right through it. I'll tell you what to pass me. Just make sure you suction on the spit. I'm like, okay, I got this. And I'm like, I got it. So I had the high-speed section and the little section. I'm like getting all the spit and everything. And then I accidentally suctioned the patient's uvula, and it got stuck in the high speed section.
And that's the thing like right here?
Yeah,
or
no.
like in the back of like the
uvula.
The gobbler thing? Oh my God.
And I was like panicking. I was like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? He's like, turn it off. I'm like, how do you turn it off? And so, yeah, that was an experience.
That sounds so much like it's like reminds me of me and you, your first presentation, because there's so much like anxiety building up before the first time you do something, and you want to be perfect. You're like, wait, I'm thinking about all these scenarios. What if this happens? You probably didn't think, what if I suction their uvula? But but that's like the point, is you can't possibly prepare for everything, and so the best way is just dive in and do it. And then after that, then you know, okay, probably don't suction the patient's uvula because it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So from there, we needed more. We were opening a second location. Mm-hmm. Then I became a manager at that location.
Okay.
And then we helped build up that business. And then we opened another location, but we're like, okay, we need more dental hygienists at this point. They're like, okay, so you're gonna go to dental school. I'm like, okay. So I went to dental school, graduated, became a dental hygienist, came back, worked for my family, and then we opened another location. And then all 36 of my cousins were all divided up into different cities and just worked together.
So you started in the industry from like having no certifications at all, and suctioning people's uvulas and stuff like that, and then you realized, okay, there's probably value if I do go through and get the certification. So you went to that would probably be like a tech school sort of thing to get your certification, or it's like dental school specifically,
to become a dental hygienist?
Yeah.
Oh no, you have to go to dental school.
Specifically to dental school.
Yeah, you go to college.
All right, so you go to dental college for that, and then I know you were working in your family's various different dental offices for quite some time, but at a certain point you kind of branched out and started your own business in dental. So what was that like? So
building those businesses with my family, that's where it kind of like sparked my business mentality to build my own business. Mm-hmm. Because working for your family, it's kind of too much high expectations. Yeah. I wasn't just a dental hygienist. I was the manager, I was the assistant, I was the stock person. I was the bill collector. I was literally everything.
Yeah.
So, but then I just figured, like, what do I know? I wanted to really build a business. Like, what am I really good at? And I'm really good at dental and dental hygiene and building dental businesses. And so I just started becoming I saw a niche in the dental world where, as a dental hygienist, most of them are females. Mm-hmm. So what does females do? They get pregnant, they have to leave work, or they get sick, or they have children. So most of these women are always going to have to call off work. Mm-hmm. But who's going to replace them? So I just started calling dental offices, just offering my services to them as a contractor. And then I had one, and then word of mouth came, and they had another office, and then another office. So they will just call me, and then I would just run around all DFW working for all types of different dental doctors.
And you were just doing whatever they needed. So if they needed a dental assistant, sure, you fill in and do that, or?
No, strictly as a dental hygienist.
As a hygienist, okay. So basically you found out you have the training as a hygienist, you know how to do it. So you just basically looked at what are all the other areas in the market, all these other different dental shops that have work for you. And you were just picking up every single shift. So when you really got going with that, like how often were you working? Was it 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 7 days a week?
At first it just started off like, I don't know, like 2 days a week or so. Mm-hmm. And then it just migrated to almost every day.
So you built that up pretty darn quickly. And at that point, you were doing dental, which is something that you didn't really choose into, but you found that you really did enjoy it and you were good at it and everything. Okay. So then somewhere around here in the mix, I ended up on a call with you and we started talking about us working together. So where did that fall in? How long were you doing the dental business before we met?
I was doing it for a very long time. I would say at least like 4 years.
And so what were some of the things you liked about it, and what were some of the things that you kind of wanted to change?
I liked that I was working for myself, mm-hmm. and I was leaving home with a paycheck every day.
Yeah.
Because I'm not their employee, so they had to pay me.
They had to pay you every day.
Yeah. So I like that aspect of it. And then just working for myself, so I really did like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of power that comes with that. I mean, because every single day you got to choose whether you take that shift or not. Yeah. Versus most places where you don't show up for your shift one day and you could be fired. Okay. And on the flip side, what are some of the things that maybe you didn't enjoy about it or you wanted to change about it?
I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy it. I really did enjoy it, and meeting new people, meeting new doctors and patients and clients and stuff. And but I just wanted to make another source of income because I was always going to make a certain amount.
Yeah, because you were capped by your time, basically. Because even if you operated at max capacity, you could only do 7 shifts a week, right? I mean, if you worked 7 days a week. So then when you started thinking about that, what was the move from there? Did you start looking for other jobs or start looking at other businesses you could start? Like, what happened then?
So I've been thinking about it for a while and what else that I can do to bring more source of income into my life. But I never really had the idea, or I did have several ideas and they didn't really work out really well. So
yeah. What were some of those?
One was tattooing.
Okay.
I was like, I can do that.
Yeah.
So I tried that, but then the commitment of tattooing something on someone and messing up and not being able to fix it really didn't sit well with me. So I was like, okay, maybe not that. So it didn't work out very well.
Maybe tattoo people's uvulas for them specifically?
I mean, I think that would hurt really bad, but that didn't work out very well. And so I was just looking for an opportunity that already had the structure and the tools for me to be successful.
Okay, and so how did that come about for you? Like what led us to working together?
Well, so one day, one of my really good friends, love her to death, and she was like, you know what, I think we finally found something here, Leyna. I'm like, what is it? She's like, well, I'm not really quite sure what it is yet. I'm gonna try it out first, but because we've been looking at how we could work together.
Yeah.
For a very long time. And so I was like, okay. She told me about it, and I was like, I'm down. Just let me know when. And she told me about it, and I was like, all right, let's just give it a try. You never know unless you try.
So that was it. She was like, I'm starting something. I don't know what it is, but I'm excited about it.
Well, she kind of knew that a little bit. She just told me it was insurance.
Okay.
That's all she really, I think that's all we really talked about, really. Can't really remember, but she's like, yeah, I think I got a really cool opportunity here, but I don't know how it's gonna work out. So I'm gonna go do my research, and I'm gonna get back to you on it. But she told me it was like an insurance gig. So I was like, okay, I'm down.
Nice. And then a couple months later or so, somewhere in there, me and you ended up on a call talking about it. Okay. And so like, what was your first impression of working with me or working with our company?
The idea of working from home is really cool. Working in, there was no cap on how much you can make. You can, the more efforts you put in, the more time and the more hard work you put in, the more money you'll make.
Yeah. Because that was what kind of held you back before in dental, is even though you were great at it and you enjoyed it and you were passionate about it, there was always kind of a cap there, and you reached it. So I think that's tough for a lot of people when you reach that cap and all of a sudden you're like, I'm not really motivated to do this anymore because, you know, I kind of got as far as I can get. There's no more mountains to climb. So, okay. So that was what stuck out to you about it. Do you have any reservations? Was there anything that had you a little bit worried or a little bit concerned?
I was never really worried or concerned because if it was coming from like one of my best friends,
yeah,
I knew it was something that she would never put me in.
You got really lucky because you had one of your best friends who you know and you love and you trust, and she was able to put her stamp of approval on working with me and us working together. So you kind of just trusted her automatically.
Yeah, I just took her word for it.
Nice.
And just went all in. I was like, all right, sister, let's go.
That's awesome. So what was the beginning like? What was the beginning of working with us like?
Oh, okay. In the beginning, there was a lot of training, which I'm really glad about that because I didn't know anything that I was doing.
Yeah.
But I'm more of a hands-on person. I'm not more of like study type of thing.
Yeah.
So I just went for it. I mean, I remember my first presentation.
Yeah.
Larry Lewis.
You know his name.
Yeah, Larry
Wow.
Lewis. Poor Larry Lewis, man. Oh, man. So that presentation was 3 hours long. I think we started at like 10, and it was like getting closer to midnight, and he was still on the call with me, still working through it. Like, he was so nice. And it was my very first day.
Yeah.
It was my very first day. Didn't read the script. I think my laptop died. So like, I couldn't ask anybody for help, or I was freaking out there. I was like, oh my God. But he was a sweet dude. So he saw value in the product, and I was surprised. He was like, yeah, let's do it. Like, I really do need this life insurance thing. So
you didn't feel good at all about the way you did the presentation. Everything that went wrong or that could have gone wrong went wrong, but you still ended up getting the sale because you saw the value for it.
yes.
Okay. And like training, I did a lot of your training, and so did your really good friend. Would you say that we trained you in like a very like studying sort of style, or are we more the like throw you right in there, let you suck that guy's uvula kind of training.
No. And so, of course, it was practice.
Yeah.
Right? So it was, a lot of, the training, I really enjoyed that because it really set me up to not fail.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of support groups in our team that was helping out, so that really helped out a lot. But I'm more of a hands-on person.
Yeah.
So I guess some people would like to study more, but I was just like, just throw me in there, coach. Like I won't learn unless I do it.
Yeah, I remember that about you. I remember we were sitting there and, you were doing presentations like that. And I remember watching in the beginning, you saying some stuff. I was like, that's not right. That's not how that works, but it's okay. We're just going to charge through it and we'll talk about it after. So now fast forward, you've been with us for how long now?
I think it's going on 6 months now.
6 months now. Okay. And so that first month, I remember, do you remember how much you told me you needed to make? Because I know that's like one of the questions I ask you before we even hire you, something in the interview. Do you remember how much you told me you needed to make?
Comfortably, just to make sure all my bills and everything are paid, a minimum of $8,000.
And I remember that first month, it was very good amount of pressure. It was like, okay, got to make sure we make that $8,000 or so. And I think the first month we came pretty darn close to it. Maybe didn't quite hit 8,000, but we came very close to that your first month. But now you've been here for 6 months or so. So like, what's the most you've made in a month now?
So the very first month, I was still working a part-time job.
Yeah.
So I was doing this from 5 to like 10.
So you're still doing dental a lot of the time. You were still taking a lot of shifts doing dental, but you were doing this in your spare time, trying to make enough money to make the transition. And how much did you make your first month?
I think I sold 12 to 13,000 the first month, and I made at least 6,000-7,000.
Wow, that's awesome. Very first month with us. No, never worked in insurance before. Just got your license. That's pretty impressive. Okay, and then now that you've been with us 6 months, what's the most income cash that you've made in 1 month with us?
Over 30,000.
Over $30,000 in a single month.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were going to do that in dental, how would you do that in dental, like in your business before?
It wouldn't work.
There's no way to do it?
I mean, it was just a one-woman team.
Yeah.
It was just me. I mean, I guess if it was a bigger team, but I mean, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. So you've made over $30,000 in a month now. You just hit your 6 months mark with us. So where do you think you're going to grow from here? Like what's the focus now?
The focus now for me is trying to replicate myself into another person.
Okay.
And building a team, but also, and helping them potentially make $30,000 a month.
And is there any particular groups or people that you'd really want to work with, that you'd want to teach how to do that?
My best friends.
Yeah.
We all work together, so that's really awesome that we see each other every day on Zoom.
That is pretty awesome. And how did that happen? Did you guys get to pick who you worked with?
Yeah, absolutely. So just went through my contacts who would need extra income, who would be really good at sales, and naturally it was my best friends.
Best friends, of course. They're the people you want to help the most, are going to be the people you care about the most. So your friends and family. Yeah,
and so when I left my dental job that I was contracted at, one of the hygienists there noticed that I didn't work there anymore. Mm-hmm. And I was very vocal about what I did, and I post about it and stuff. So my coworkers told her that, oh, she quit because she's working insurance and she's making a lot of money. And so she got interested about it and gave me a call. And then she now is working with us.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what was like the first major milestone here, where it happens to everybody at a different spot, but what was the first major milestone where you really believed, okay, I've got this. I can build a business here. This can be my, I don't know about career, but this can be the business that I work with for, the next decade or the rest of my life or whatever. What was that moment where you really knew this was the place for you?
So my milestone wasn't hitting, Gold Club or selling over $50,000 in a month. That was huge, but my biggest milestone would have been my best friend hitting her 10K and helping her reach her goal and helping her actually make a lot of money. And so that's when it kind of clicked in me that, okay, I can really build a business here because it actually works.
I think that says a lot about who you are as a person, because, the people listening probably don't understand the terms, but basically what you're saying is you made over 30 grand in a month on your own personal sales. And I'm sure that was awesome. That was really cool for you. You enjoyed that. But the point where you really knew this was like home for you was not when you made 30 grand, but when you got to hire one of your best friends and see that person make $8,000 in a month and see all the positive effects in that person's life. So tell us a little bit about that. Like, what was the conversation like when you were talking with your friend about this business?
She is one of my best friends, and we talk all the time, and I just know that she's been struggling, and she has a newborn. I wouldn't say a newborn, but she has a 1-year-old baby now. She has a kid, and so finances change once you have a child. They get more expensive.
Yeah.
And she would just call me being stressed out all the time, and we'll talk about it. She'll cry about it and stuff. And so naturally I told her about it.
Yeah.
And then she was like, that's interesting. And then we gradually started talking about it more. And then eventually she was like, yeah, really, let's just give it a shot. Let's just give it a go. And here we are. So
yeah.
And now she's making more money than she ever did at her regular job, which she just quit. And so now she's working at home, gets to stay home with her baby.
Yeah.
And work with all her best friends. And we have each other's back, and she's, making more money than she ever did. So
those are like the most rewarding people to work with too, is because so many people have a life change like that. And like Heidi, for example, she was an incredibly talented person before her child, right? And she was doing very well and all that. And then you have something great happen, like you have a child, and that actually severely limits you, because a lot of employers are like, oh, we don't want to work with somebody who's a new mother because they're going to have all this flexibility, and they're going to have to, be calling out, and they're going to put their child first, which, like, no shit, you should put your child first all of the time. And it's a shame, because so many of those people in that situations, or maybe when somebody becomes a single parent or makes a life change, their work situation gets erased, and it makes it really difficult. So when those people get to come and apply their skills here and win really big, those are like the most rewarding people to work with, because they didn't lose any of their skills. She didn't become less talented when she had a child. She didn't get less work ethic, probably more, if anything. But I think a lot of employers out there just fail to realize that, and they're just looking way too short term. So I don't know about you, but I'll take all those people. I'm happy to work with all those people like that. Every single person that their employer doesn't want them anymore because they just had a child, so they just need a little more flexibility and understanding. Let's take them all.
Exactly. And just seeing how it changed her life really made me want to build a team, because now that I helped one, I would like to help and change other people's lives.
So how big do you see this getting? How big of an agency do you feel like you're going to be building?
So our agency right now, it's growing at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
And it's so cool because we all live in the same state.
Yeah.
And so, we're a really tight-knit group. I just see it growing so much bigger, and it's already happening. So
yeah, I think every other day, it's been, at least in the last month, every other day I get an email that a new person is being onboarded onto your team with you and your other partners. So that means you guys are showing a lot of success and helping people quite a bit. So that's really, really cool. So if you could pick like the ideal person, right? So if you could kind of paint the picture of the ideal person that you really want to work with and you want to help, what would that look like? What does that person look like to you?
I would say someone that is, struggling and someone that's a really hard worker and someone that just wants a change in their lives, but is willing to put in the work and the effort and be coachable and just being consistent. And that's basically it. It's just someone that's willing to put in that effort to change their lives, really.
So somebody just like you were, somebody who's got all the talent and all the confidence and all the work ethic, but somebody who maybe just hasn't found the right vehicle yet. So that's awesome. Okay. And, right, you used to work almost all with family. Now you get to work pretty much all with friends. So what would you say is a major difference? I mean, you worked 100% family businesses all growing up, and now you get to work 100% with your friends. So how is it different?
Much more relaxed, I would say. I mean, because when you work with your family, oh my God, it's just never really a day off, really.
Yeah.
You're constantly working when you're at work, constantly working when you're at home, constantly surrounded by your coworkers every single day because it's your family. It's really awkward to ask for time off because my mom would be like, "Where are you going?" Like, why? Where are you going? Where are you going?
Yeah.
And they're always in your business all the time. And then just, we would have family feuds at work.
Yeah.
So that was weird.
Well, they say your friends are like the family that you choose. So I think that's cool. You guys have such an awesome, tight-knit group of friends working together. So that's really, really cool. Okay. And I mean, now you've been in business together with me for 6 months. So you see yourself building a really big agency. So if you had one message out there to the people watching about your team and your business, and about, what they should do if they're thinking about reaching out to you or joining, like, what would that be? What would you say to somebody who's maybe on the outside looking in, that not sure if they want to join or if it's a good business? What would you say to them?
I would just say, you never know unless you try. At least you like live through life knowing that you tried rather than what if.
Yeah.
That's always been my thing. I've always I never know unless I try. I would never know the outcome unless I try. And just give it your all. I mean, I would just say, if you need a change in life and change the pace and just want to grow your own business, but really don't know where to start, I would say this would be a good start. Just even the business model is a really good start. And I would say just, you never know unless you try, so give it a shot.
That's awesome. All right, and then what's one of the most valuable lessons that you've learned that you think everyone should have to learn at some point in their life? Not necessarily a lesson with me or with our team, but just what's one of the most valuable lessons that you've learned in your life that you feel like everybody should learn?
One of the biggest lessons that I've learned is consistency. And just, even though you have a hard day, or if you've, just a bad day or anything like that, because there are bad days in sales that would just make you think, damn, should I go back to that 9 to 5? Because freaking Jennifer was such a jerk.
Yeah.
Or just, you're gonna have really trying times.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was just telling my best friend the other day, I was like, wow, this was a very learning curve today. Like, today was a personal learning day. It was just, it's really hard. Some days where I want to give up, and I just tell myself, like, you left your job for a reason, don't go back. So you gotta just show up every day.
Yeah.
Just gotta be consistent and keep on being consistent. Just keep showing up, be consistent, be consistent. Don't give up. And then next thing you know, it all works out.
That's awesome. And I'm sure it helps that you're in a really great environment with the rest of your closest friends that you get to work with too. So what's the support like from our team when you do have a tough day?
Oh, we hype each other up. So like, I would give an example of like 3 days ago, and me and Heidi were looking at each other like, wow, okay, it's the end of the week. We really gotta step it up. And we're like, okay, let's debrief. We'll sit there and talk like, okay, we got this. Let's make the calls right now. We got this. Let's do it. And we'll start making calls and stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll just keep calling until we get into a presentation. And we did, because we were just panicking like 10 minutes ago. We're like, girl, we gotta do something. We gotta make some sales right now.
Yeah.
And so we were just like having a little panic moment, and we're like, okay, we got this. Just we got this. Let's get it, girl. So we got on Zoom and just kept dialing until we got into a presentation. And the first person that picked up, for me and her, we both made a sale the same day.
That's awesome.
And we called each other. It was like, see, what were we worried about? Like, what were we so worried about?
And how about coaching on stuff that you guys need help with? Like if you're struggling with a part about making your calls, or your agent is struggling about making their calls and the results aren't there, what do you guys do here? How do you handle those challenges?
So what we do is, number one, we find the problem, and we try to evaluate the solution, and we help each other by dialing with each other, flipping people into each other's rooms. If there's any questions or rebuttals, like, we'll help each other about that. We'll watch each other's presentations, just to get a feel on what we could do better. We'll take criticism from each other. So stuff like that really does help.
Awesome. And if you guys do need help from others, if say you and your agent can't figure that out on your own, is there help there for you?
Yeah, we'll call you.
You call me. You call me, or there's a lot of other people on our team too that know what they're doing.
So a lot of people, we'll call our best friend. She's always willing to help. She's so amazing. I really love her. She's always in our corner, and if we ever need help about anything, she's always there to lend a hand, talk us through it. She helps us not panic, because I'll call her and be like, man, like today, I don't know, girl. And she'll really motivate me and really help me, walk me through like getting it through the day. So I would say my best friend is one of my biggest supports in my whole entire career here.
Yeah, you've told me that it's kind of like she's your guys' mom and I'm your guys' dad. Is that pretty accurate?
I mean, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of, but she's an awesome mom. I'll take that.
Yeah, she is a pretty cool mom. I'm probably not too cool of a dad, but yeah, I think we work pretty well together. So. Well, it's been awesome. So awesome having you on the show, Leyna. I think everybody learned a ton about hearing your story. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, or anything else about, why you feel like it's valuable for people to be working with you?
I would say if, whoever's listening and whoever needs a change in their lives, and I would just say, don't think about it, just do it. And awesome. That's what I would say to them. Just don't think about it, just do it. And you never know, it could be really life-changing for you.
Just dive in and suck that uvula, right?
Exactly.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Well, if people do want to get in contact with you, Leyna, what's the best way? Should they email you? Should they follow you on Instagram? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? I
think social media would be the best way.
Okay.
Because I'm constantly on my phone, and so many text messages on my phone. I think I have over 300 text messages in there now. But I would say social media for sure.
So Instagram probably? Okay, and how do they find you on Instagram? What's your handle?
My handle is I am Honey Dijon.
All right.
That's me.
All right. Well, you heard it from her. If you want to connect with Leyna, you want to get on her team, and you want to build a business together with her like she did, it's I am Honey Dijon on Instagram. So thank you so much, Leyna. You did incredible.
Thank you.
And break.